Good morning, everybody. How are you? Oh, it's September. Oh my goodness, how the season has changed. Ooh, I'm so kidding. Get this clubber off. It's boiling still. Oh my goodness. I thought that'd be quite funny, but I'm regretting it already. I've had it on 2 minutes. Wow, one absolutely beautiful start to September. Oh, let's get all this off. Goodness gracious me. I'm being like Richard with my scarf and gloves on, aren't I? Sorry, Richard. Yeah, it's a beautiful start to September. There is a definite change in the air though, really early in the morning. It's not early in the morning now. Gosh, it's about 10:30, 11 already. Wow, crazy day. But yeah, first thing in the morning, sort of 6 o'clock, you can smell autumn on the air. And if I get to the garden really early, the ground is sopping with dew and oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. So joking about being chilly aside, a couple of mornings ago, where are we now? I think it's the 3rd of September by the time I'm filming this tour. Yeah, so it was actually the 1st of September, it was the Sunday. I'd got up, it was about 6 o'clock, flung all the windows open and had that sniff on the air. But oh, so I thought, oh wow, the temperature's really dropped. So it just put me in mind, when I'm checking the weather forecast, I'm usually looking to see when have we got some rain coming, yay, or oh, if it's going to rain all day, I'll make that day into a cooking, bottling or sewing day, what have you. Also, you know, looking at the forecast to see the temperature, because once it's over sort of 27, 28, I really struggle to be productive in the garden during the day. So again, it's that thing of I look at the forecast and I think, right, come to the garden really early, what have you. But what I need to start doing now, and we kind of all do, obviously in other parts of the world with other climates, you all have to adjust to your own thing. But in the UK, beginning of September, when we're looking at our forecast, we need to start looking at the nighttime temperatures. I nearly said night times if I'm shivering. Yeah, it's time to start looking at those nighttime temperatures, just to keep an eye on how chilly it's getting. So at the moment, at night, it looks like for the next 2 weeks we're going to be down to about 10, 11, 12 degrees. It's perfectly fine for absolutely everything that's out there. As we head sort of below 5 at night, that's when things like the tomatoes or the peppers, things like that, they might need a little bit of protection. They're not too happy below 5, but they ought to be okay. And obviously, if we're getting down towards 2, especially once you combine wind with that too, then we need to start thinking about protecting some of those really delicate things. With my squash, for instance, I generally leave them way into October. I leave them absolutely for as long as we're above 1 or 2 at night. The minute we threaten to go below, I'll harvest them. So bearing all that in mind, the other day I had a bit of a tidying session in the shed, putting all my pots away for the winter. You might have seen the Facebook pictures, such a nerd. But I also went into my nettings and etc. section to get all my fleeces ready and on standby. I'll talk about the fleeces properly in another video in a couple of weeks or a week or so. But yeah, just be mindful, especially if you're shed towards the end of the madness of the summer season was anything like mine. It's a grand old tip, isn't it? So when you've got a minute, just go and root out all your fleeces, have them near your shed door, so that if there is a predicted frost, you can quickly race down to the garden, whip your fleeces out and get your precious things covered. Likewise, if you have a cold frame or a greenhouse, I know a lot of folk insulate them with bubble wrap, that sort of thing. So just make sure you've got everything you need in those kind of departments. I think we're quite a way off getting frost still. Like I said, I don't think it'll be till the middle of October, but have a look now, and then if you think, oh, you know, the bubble wrap's disintegrated or the fleeces are all ripped, it gives you a bit of time to organise sorting some more out. Right, well, that's my last word on being cold today. It's a beautiful day, right at the beginning of September. As I predicted when I was doing my August tour, when everything was at its most lush and green, and I said, come back in a month and we'll really see a change. And boy, is there a change in the garden. So, come on. I was going to say put your wellies on. Don't bother with your wellies. Get your flip-flops on and come and have a little wander up the garden with me. Oh, this is definitely a fading garden, isn't it? Yes, we are definitely getting those first hues of autumn as things pale, shrivel, drop. But there's still tons of food in the garden. So just starting here at the top, I've still got loads of cukes coming. This whopper that you can see, that is my seed-saving cuke. Oh, I'm just spotting underneath it. There's a couple there ready for harvesting. Fabulous. So yeah, that's my seed saver. Oh, and there's one up above it, behind it. Oh, that is a nice one. You're coming home for lunch. And then in front, the peppers, which are doing fine, and they're just starting to turn. They're beautiful orange. Oh, that one is nigh on ready. Look at the colour. Isn't that magnificent? So with these outdoor peppers, these orange bell, they do take a little bit longer to harvest, come to harvest. You see, these are all still really green. Last year, I seem to remember it was about mid-October when I harvested. So they've got a ways to go yet, but it looks like I'm going to have my first one away today. Hurrah! How wonderful. I said I wasn't going to talk about the cold, didn't I? But just on that word, if there is going to be a really heavy frost, all I would do is harvest what's there now, harvest them green and eat them green. They're good to eat, they're just considerably more bitter than if they were orange. But yeah, perfectly edible. So just going to bring you round the top of the garden for a second. We're going to have shadows because the sun's so bright. Look, my cosmos. Hello, cosmos. Better late than never. Oh, so lovely. And again, just as I seem to remember predicting way back in June, I'm going to have a lovely, lovely autumn show of it. You know, it's such a tough little plant. It could actually keep going right up until Christmas if we don't get too heavy a frost. It can deal with really quite cold, but if we have a frost or a sustained frost, it will keel over. But tons of buds coming. I'm so pleased because I just don't think my garden would be the same without Cosmos. And I think, as I was mentioning, I'm going to just let this self-seed here, and that hopefully the self-seeded ones will be more robust come next year. Right, the Waltham butternut bed. Well, I showed you one in there the other day. I've spotted a couple more. Can't remember where I spotted them. Oh, is it? Oh, here's a little baby coming, but my goodness, this is so late for them to be coming. I would normally expect to see the first, I'm caught up in a tomato, hang on a sec. I'd expect to see the first signs of them, gosh, maybe even by the end of July. Remember I showed you a little baby one down there the other day? Well, that's keeled over. So yeah, there's one in there. It's tucked. Oh, can I point it out? Just in there. But really, I think it's a pretty sorry year for the Walthams. In the middle of here, there are 2 carnivals. And then the other day when I was clocking the Walthams with you guys, I was saying that I'd got 8 plants. I forgot, of course, that 2 plants in the middle of this row got mashed by the slugs, so they got replaced with cream of the crop, which I think I've got 1 of each. Oy vey, never mind, there's something there, but it's not going to be anywhere near as bountiful as last year's harvest. And I just can't get over how late this one is developing. It's September, come on, you've got to get fat and ripe, goodness sakes. Okay, then into the tomatoes. I've had tons off, not as many as in previous years, but I have had lots off, and look, it looks so nude, doesn't it? Do you remember the other day I was saying I've basically stripped now pretty much all of their foliage. They're not going to grow and come to anything now, so there's no point in them having all that foliage, all that lovely material for the blight to land on. So yeah, they're stripped, and what's left is harvesting. I am getting some nice picks. Oh, that's a nice couple down there, isn't it? They can come off later too. Yeah, so not the best year for tomatoes, not compared with other years, but you know, that's how gardening goes, isn't it? One year, like last year, the tomatoes and the squash were amazing. They seem to love the drought. This year they're not so happy. Last year the beans were rubbish. This year, talking of beans, let's go and have a look. The beans have been fantastic as beans. But look how all of this material, all their foliage is dying back. I mean, if you just looked down on the ground, you would think, yep, it's the height of autumn. No, we're only 3 days into autumn. So this row to the right of me is all the little trail of tears. I'm leaving them all for drying now. I've had a few off green, but the rest are for drying. This was my spare Coco Sophie. These I am trying to harvest before they dry. I've already got my seed saving ones marked out, so yes, I do want to harvest these. These are the last of the Helder. Actually, I might pick a few of them young and green. Sorry, I'm pointing into the light. Let's come this side. Yeah, I might have a few of these off to eat now, but the rest, especially these great big Berthas, oh, even these are almost dry already. So this is all going to be for seed saving. Actually, I have eaten the beans. I have saved some of them dry for eating as well. So at the end of the season, whatever's left that's dried, I will either, I'll set some aside for seed, and then the rest will be for me to get my chops around. The Bolotti next door, once again, and I definitely had climbing Bolotti. I've got 1, 2, 3 bushes that survived the slugs, but they are bush. They are definitely not climbing Bolotti. Oh, the colour though, isn't that gorgeous? Oh, brilliant. And only one of them decided to climb, which is here, but it definitely looks like a slightly different variety, judging by its by the pods and the markings. It hardly looks like a Bolotti at all. One of the joys of the beans is how beautiful they all are when they're podded. Oh, love it. I'm starting to see pictures from friends of their bean harvests being podded and laid out on trays, and oh, they're like trays of little jewels, and I want to run my hands through them all. Yum. Okay, so the Coco de Pampol down here. Look, they're looking tired and tatty now, aren't they? Let's have a quick look at some of the pods. So this one that's yellow, oh, it's just starting. Can you pick that up? Just here on my thumbnail, that little tiny tinge of pink, that's ready to harvest. It's a very short one, but it's ready to harvest. And then if we go in here, you'll see various shades of sort of green, limey green, yellow. They're not ready yet. I would say probably, another couple of weeks. But I will, at this stage in the year, gosh, they're very green still. Yeah, I will at this stage. I'll be starting to look in here probably every couple of days or so, or at least every 3 or 4 days, and start to pick off the ones which are harvestable. So like I say, that's what you want to look for with your cocoa harvesting. Let me see if I can show it to you really, really clearly. Do you see right on the end there, that little tiny speck of pink? If I leave that, maybe I'll leave this one as a demonstration, but if I was to leave that another week or so, it'd be really quite pink, and it would be on its way to being dry and tough and yuck. So the cathedral bed, another bed that is looking past its best. The brassicas I've got in here, this is the Savoy cabbages. They're all looking fine in there. Actually, they're getting really nice and, oh, it's so hard to see through the nets, isn't it? Yeah, but they're getting big, fat, looking perfectly healthy. Just behind them in here, I've got the last of my random beans, most of which will need harvesting very soon. Then I've got all my beetroot and kale. The beetroot at the front looks really tatty and beyond its best, but actually I just leave them in the ground till I'm ready to use them. The leaves, the tops, are really lovely in salads and smoothies and what have you, but even once the leaves have gone over and they look tatty like that, the beetroot is still perfectly good to eat, and I'll just leave them in the ground over the whole winter. But you can see it's all really starting to fade. Look, all this foliage on the teepees is gradually disappearing. Let me just bring you back round this way, it's a bit easier for me to get to. How are my miniature willies doing? Well, my miniature willies are getting quite big. Oh, I don't want those ants on me. But look, so now, if you remember, they were barely the size of my little finger. Hello, little finger. And they are getting bigger, and they've got this weird sort of soft, downy skin. So that's right at the bottom. Let's have a look how the other ones I showed you are doing. Yep, they're all growing. So this is one that I was thinking about in terms of the fleecing. I think they've got quite a ways to go. Yeah, look, they're so tiny still, just for contrast. They're so tiny still, but what I am thinking is maybe if I give them some sort of fleece protection, that might help them get a bit bigger before the frosts do for everything. And finally, there are squash starting to show as the leaves die back. So these are cream of the crop. There's a couple more in there hiding, and then as a little gap plugger, I put another carnival in here. That's another beauty. It's such a beautiful shape. And these, last year when I harvested them, they were about this colour, and over the coming months in the flat, they turned a beautiful deep orange. Absolutely gorgeous. On that far teepee, there are some delicatas hiding. I think there's only about 2 or 3. This teepee here, stepping over that carnival, this is a Burgess butternut. It's a funny shape, isn't it? It's so squat. So there's that one, and then there's one more tucked in here somewhere. But again, each plant is giving me maybe 1, at most 2 fruits. See if I can show you that delicata. Can you see? There and there. Yeah, 1 or 2 fruits, which is a bit pathetic, really. You know, you want at least 2, if not 3 fruits per vine. Coming round here, this is the sucrine. They've done better than all the others. This plant, it's a combination of 2 plants, have actually managed to produce 5 squash. Woohoo! But yeah, it's like I say, oops, being pulled down. Let's just duck under that at the moment. Yeah, it's not a squash year. Never mind. Do you remember down here I sowed some spinach? Well, a couple have survived, but frankly, a day after I sowed them, we then had that 4-day heat wave, and I couldn't get here every day. And I think probably what's happened is there's been some germination, and then they've absolutely cooked in the heat and died. Ah, well, never mind. It was leftover seed. It wasn't precious. Let's have a little look at the Violina. So that one's rotted. What a shame. I don't know what that is. I think that's come from somewhere else. And it looks like I'm going to have just this one Violina from 2 plants. Oh well, you know, the good thing is I've got loads left over from last year still. I think I've got about 10 left from last year. So I'm not going to starve. Yippee! Right, oh my goodness, that sun's coming out so brightly again. Now this bean tunnel, I was just saying, oops, I've got to fall down. These beans are doing absolutely fantastic. So it's the Gigantes on the right, the Coco Sophie on the left. I'm going to walk right through actually, because otherwise, and come from the other end, because otherwise I'm right into the sun. Gosh, it's suddenly so bright and warm. It's delicious. But the Gigantes, my goodness, look how quickly we're getting dry beans. So just as I was saying the other day, it really is that time of year to just be picking and podding, well, almost daily. I mean, look, dry already, dry. So any that are dry, I'll simply leave them now. They'll absolutely be fine on the plants. Loads more dry, a few too many dry than I'd actually like. So I'm going to keep picking my green ones and enjoying them, and combination of some in the freezer and some in my belly straight away. And then when we get right at the end of the season, end of September, beginning of October, I will go through them, and all that are dry I will take off, give them a little bit more drying at home just to make sure, and then I can divide that again into a pile for seed saving and a pile for scoffing. And actually I have in the past left the beans right through into October, but again it's one of those weather things. If it looks like we're going to have loads and loads of rain, day after day after rain, day after day of rain, then I'll get them in, and I'll get them into the shed on the onion drying rack for them to start drying in there, rather than risk leaving them on and they start to rot. Tons of Coco Sophie to pick. So this first section was the one I was mentioning the other day that suddenly have really started to dry out. So this is my seed saving department, and then within the rest of the arches, again keeping a close eye, and we're getting to the I'm going to get tired of saying this, the daily picking. Oh my goodness, it's not just the daily picking though, is it folks? You all know this. Daily picking also means, oh, coming back this way, daily picking also means daily podding and daily dealing with. I'm leaving the last of the calendula now to go over to seed. Oh, but there's a couple of really pretty little blooms in there still. I might have a way. Someone was asking me about do I not get mildew, what do I do about it? Well, yes, I do. And frankly, I don't worry about it. I just let the flowers get on with it. They get it every year. It seems inevitable, so just leave them be. And the parsnips down amongst them are all looking lush and green and happy still. So what I'll do in another 4 to 8 weeks, I will gather all my calendula heads for seed, hang them upside down in paper bags in the shed, as I always do. But then what I'll do is I'll cut the plants right down, and then the parsnips can start to come into their own. Next door, the chickpeas, and I am, having mentioned them the other day, I am going to start harvesting some of them green. Actually, a few of them are going dry already, because someone was saying to me, how quick are the mice? And the simple answer is, I don't know how quick the mice are, and I don't want to find out. But look, this is amazing. There's some of them that are actually still flowering. Such a pretty wee, oh, of course a gust of wind comes along. Such a pretty wee flower. But there are tons and tons of pods in here. Yay! And a few random rose de Berne tomatoes, which I'm hoping that because they're hiding in here, that the B word won't know where to find them. Here's hoping anyway. Just behind them, this bed is all rocking core. It's the last of the rocking core, which are now primarily for seed saving. I'll just come around and give you a closer look. Yeah, I've had a fantastic harvest from this lot. As always, such a reliable bean. You know, when you can get that combination of a really, really reliable cropper that actually tastes gorgeous and is so easy to save seed from, well, it's got to be right up there as one of my favourite things to grow in the garden. It's been brilliant. On the end here, I've got another Carnival that was spare, 2 fruits, and then, well, the Rouge Vif de Tombe that I seedling swapped with Catherine hasn't come to anything, sadly. Or is this it coming out this end? There's certainly no fruit on it. That reminds me, actually, I need to ask Catherine how her loofah is doing, because I swapped this for a loofah. That's the main crop spuds. Still mostly looking pretty green. They I will probably leave until, again, they're probably going to be about mid-October. They will come out and in their place will go garlic. So yeah, whatever stage they're at by mid-October, they will be getting lifted and making way for the garlic. It doesn't seem 5 minutes since I was last planting garlic. Where's the year gone? My goodness. And then over here, in my beautiful tunnels, I'm just wondering what's the best way to try and show you with, you know, with how the light works. If I come down here with the light behind, does that help? Not particularly. Anyway, that's the purple sprouting broccoli. They're all doing absolutely fine. Let's see if I get right close up to the net, if that helps. Yeah, they're doing fine in there. Looking really happy. You know, it's funny, isn't it? All year I've been banging on about wanting my first tomato. And now that I've got brassicas in the ground, all I can think about is eating brassicas again. Oh, yum. I can't wait for my first cabbage pie. Oh, first cabbage pie since about, I don't know, March or April. That'll be about, I don't know, in 3 months' time or so. More like as we go into December. Oh, I think I need to water the celery. Celery is doing fantastic. I mean, look, it's just a mass. That's a field of celery. It's brilliant. Another reason to grow a cotton come again variety. It just gives and gives and gives. And apart from needing watering, well, it's such an easy plant to care for. So, I mean, it's lovely. And then over here I've got my forest of fennel. Isn't that pretty in the light this morning? Gorgeous. They're taking their time with fattening up. So I've got a feeling it's going to get to the stage where I'm just going to have sort of 2 or 3 out at a time to use, where I might have used just one, purely because I'm just dying to get my chops on. Oh no, look, that one's bolting. Oh no, right, that's it then. I'm going to start having, never mind 2 or 3, 6 or 7 out at a time. Do up a big batch of fennel risotto because it actually freezes really well. It's just about one of my most favourite things to eat. So it's well worth getting a load of this out and getting it cooked and making sure I make the most of it before any more of it bolts. Look at that. Oh, what a shame. It's definitely been the year of bolting, hasn't it? Never mind. Just remember I deadheaded my rose bush about 10 days ago. Oh, they're so gorgeous, aren't they? Such a beautiful, beautiful, uncomplicated, unassuming little rose. Oh, I do love them. Never mind about the roses, Vivi. We're here for the vegetables. Oh, but look at this one, the little bud. Isn't that a sweetheart? Oh, gorgeous. Right, coming round. My lovely Hungarian paprika peppers. Again, they will take quite some time to ripen. There's one at the far end. Oh, Rosie! It's a very skinny one, but that one's gone orange. Again, it's just like my orange bell peppers. These will stay in the ground until about mid-October. How's the flint corn doing? Well, here's an interesting thing. Since I first grew flint corn 3 years ago, is it? Or 4 years ago, it got other folk really interested in it on site. And this year, there's quite a handful of people growing it. But I'm just going to come down this path. Like me, very few people have got any cobs. It's very odd. So there's a cob in there, 2 cobs. But otherwise, I don't know if they're just really, really late forming. I don't quite know what's gone on. We've all had seed from different places, so it's not like it's all just my seed that's failed. Likewise, I gave some seed to a friend, not on this site, right up in the north of England, and they've got tons of cobs. So yeah, ay caramba, you just never know. Every year is a bit of a mystery and a guessing game, isn't it? All these brassicas are doing fine. This is all Cavolo Nero, and then the scarlet kale. And then next door to it are the calabres. Yep, everything's growing away nicely. The brassicas, it always seems like, oh my goodness, they're such scrawny, nasty looking things when I put them in. But it's like with so many things in the garden, I say, it's, you know, I play the long game. Don't expect results overnight. Give them a chance. They come to something, and like I say, come December and January, and February and March and April, I'll be eating a lot of kale pie, brassica pies. I've just spotted a carrot that I think I need to have out. Look at the size of that, Bertha. Yeah, the carrots and leeks and the handful of spring onions I've had away have been absolutely fine, absolutely lovely, gorgeous, yum, yum, yum. But as with, well, you can see where I keep harvesting from, can't you? I've got a gap in the middle. I should do some harvesting from that end and a bit of harvesting from this end by way of thinning. But again, as you'll have seen the other day, this is another area where I've had bolting. What can you do? Not much you can do about it. Just suck it up and enjoy whatever else is coming in the garden. Oh, even the herb bed is starting to look a bit autumnal, isn't it? So you can see I've been harvesting my lavender. I've got 2 left. Definitely fading. Definitely. What do you think, Rosie? I'm having a little bit of faded glory. Hey, sweet pea. Oh, hello, Rosie. Come and say hello to everyone. She's normally so shy. Oh, a little rub. Oh, no. There you go. Well, we'll have a little rub and a cuddle later. Now, one thing I do want to get onto or find out about is, for now, I've just moved the 2 blueberry bushes here. They've put on loads of growth this year, absolutely tons. But everything I've read about pruning them says do not prune in their first year. But, you know, this one, I don't know if you can make it out behind the hyssop. Look at all this growth, masses. And what I don't want them to get too tall and leggy. I'd rather prune them and encourage some more shoots. So if anyone has any advice for me, I will appreciate it very much, because I've never had blueberries before. And, well, yeah, like I said, they've done so much growing and they're getting a bit leggy. So let me know what you guys think, whether I should give them a prune or not. And if I need to give them a prune, how do I give them a prune? That bucket of calendula needs to get planted at some point. Obviously, you saw the lovage and the Sweet Cicely the other day when I was having a good old sort out and prune in here. I am now going to keep both of them a little bit clear of other bits and pieces, just in the hopes that that little bit of extra space and a bit of extra light will help them to get going next year. We'll see. Oh, look at the size of this monster, my Taunton Dean. It's fantastic. I have been harvesting and harvesting and harvesting from this monster, and it just keeps coming and coming. I'm getting to the stage where I think I need to take some cuttings. Or is it the wrong time of year? Yeah, I need to take some cuttings from that. And I've already got a load of people who said, yes, please, yes, please, to some cuttings. So that'll be another job to get on with. I have not put the deck chair away yet. I refuse to give up on the sunshine. And then finally in this little corner, so my du long de londe French peppers there. And here, this one's easier to show you, I think. I've got loads in here. But look, the first ones are ripening. Oh, let me get a shot of that. Look at that. So they start, sorry. Oh, look at this one's really curly. They start this beautiful, deep, dark, glossy green. And they fade to a sort of khaki, sludgy, browny orange. And then become this kind of beauty. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, don't be mistaken, they are not a hot pepper. They are a sweet pepper. They've got a bit more... Oh, look, I just spotted another one. Sorry, guys. They've got a bit more bite to them in terms of taste than, say, the Orange Bell. I think I spotted a red one in there too. Yeah. They're definitely worth a beautiful, beautiful taste. It's absolutely dripping with them. You can't see at the moment because they're all in disguise because they're green. But yeah, they will be a lovely harvest as well. Again, I don't expect to be harvesting or doing a big harvest until at least the end of September, if not into October. But at least I've got a couple there to start with. I'm now starting to think about different things I want to eat as the different veggies become available. This is another little favourite, a little white geranium. Isn't that gorgeous? So if you remember all these geraniums I started, yes, I know they're pelargoniums, but there we go. Yeah, I started them all a couple of years ago as from seed, and I've gradually been taking cuttings to give myself more and more. These will be fine out here now until, probably towards the end of October. And then they'll all come home with me to be overwintered indoors, which will mean digging them out of the trough. Yeah, get them out of the trough, into some pots, overwinter them at home, take some cuttings from them again probably in about January. And then March or April or so next year, I can't believe we're already talking about next year. But yeah, come March or April of next year, they will all be... Sorry, I'm just distracted because... Rosie, what are you doing, sweet pea? Rosie? Yeah, come March or April next year, they'll all be coming back to the garden, and hopefully the cuttings will take, and they will join their little friends here next summer. But gosh, goodness, it did change almost overnight, didn't it? Wow. Hello, autumn. Hello, autumn garden. It kind of looks a little bit tired, doesn't it? I always think that at this time of year, how, all summer the garden has worked so hard. Actually, talking of tired, I'm going to have a little sit down a second. Hang on. That's better. Yeah, it's that thing, isn't it, of the garden does look tired. But I think I would look tired if I'd been working non-stop for, let's see now, June, July, August, as most of these plants have. Some of them have been working for even longer than that. So it's okay by me. And actually, while the weather's like this, oh my God, it's actually quite hot today. It's beautiful. It is staggeringly beautiful. I love the summer and I hate letting it go. But if we have this kind of sort of almost drawn out summer, this is going to ease me into the autumn without too much distress. Oh gosh, so much abundance, so much food to harvest, so much more to come over the winter. I can't stop thinking about cabbage pie now. Yeah. So far this year, I think, yeah, done pretty good, and I'm not going to starve. I need to get on with some watering, I think, because if I don't keep these plants alive, then I might starve. So, for now, I'm going to bid you all a very fond and happy farewell. I hope you have an amazing, amazing September with lots of gorgeous sunny days. And if it is going to get a bit chilly, chuck the fleece out somewhere. Chuck the fleece over your precious bits. It's going to be a busy month. Hold on to your hats, everyone, and have fun. So, I will see you all again really soon, no doubt. Probably picking something here, there, or everywhere. But until then, please, oh, it's so bright. Take care of yourselves and each other. Cheerio.